In the dark waters of the Pacific, 1944, the USS Barb slipped through waves like a shadow, unseen and unheard by the enemy. A Gato-class submarine, compact but lethal, it carried a crew of 96 men whose courage, skill, and daring would soon become the stuff of legend. The Barb was not the largest, nor the most heavily armed submarine in the fleet, but what it lacked in size, it more than made up for in ingenuity, precision, and audacity. Its captain, Eugene B. Fluckey, a man whose reputation for boldness and meticulous planning preceded him, knew that every mission carried a weight far beyond the confines of steel and torpedoes. Each patrol was a test not only of strategy and skill, but of endurance, nerve, and the unbreakable bonds between men who trusted one another with their lives. From the moment the Barb departed Pearl Harbor for its first patrol in 1944, the Japanese Navy underestimated it. Destroyers and patrol boats, confident in their superiority, dismissed reports of a small American submarine slipping past their lines. They laughed at the idea that a single vessel could penetrate their heavily guarded waters, sink enemy shipping, and disappear without leaving a trace. But the Barb was not an ordinary submarine, and its crew were far from ordinary men. Every mission was planned with precision, every movement calculated to exploit enemy weaknesses. Fluckey's strategy combined classic submarine warfare with audacious innovation. Attacks at dawn and dusk, torpedo spreads designed to overwhelm defenses, and surface assaults under cover of darkness. One of Barb's earliest patrols in the Yellow Sea demonstrated the lethal combination of skill, daring, and timing that would define its legend. Japanese convoys, relying on their heavily armed destroyers, believed themselves untouchable in these narrow waters. The Barb, however, moved like a phantom. Using the cover of night, it infiltrated the convoy's perimeter, weaving silently between escorts and sending torpedoes that struck without warning. Explosions rocked the water, sending shrapnel into the air and panic into the enemy ranks. Ships that had assumed safety were suddenly crippled, their crews thrown into chaos. Barb's success was not merely measured in tonnage sunk, but in the psychological toll it inflicted on Japanese naval command. Reports of an unseen American submarine moving with uncanny precision spread like wildfire. Beyond conventional attacks, Barb carried out operations that blurred the line between sabotage and daring theatricality. Its crew executed raids on coastal installations, landing teams to destroy rail lines and supply depots far behind enemy lines. Fluckey understood that war was won not just by sinking ships, but by disrupting the enemy's entire network of support. In one such operation, a handful of Barb crewmen disembarked under darkness, traversing treacherous terrain to plant explosives on rail lines critical for Japanese troop movements. The explosions echoed across the night, halting convoys and sending shockwaves through command channels. The audacity of these missions, conducted miles from the submarine's safety, showcased the ingenuity and bravery that became Barb's trademark. The submarine's technological advantages were subtle but decisive. Equipped with advanced sonar, the Barb could detect enemy ships before it detected it. Its torpedoes, carefully maintained and meticulously calibrated, struck with deadly accuracy. Yet technology alone did not account for its success. Every maneuver relied on the men's discipline, training, and split-second decision-making. In the confined spaces of the submarine, every order mattered. Every misstep could be fatal. The crew worked in synchrony, a single organism, moving as one beneath the waves. Each patrol reinforced trust, courage, and the understanding that survival depended on flawless execution. As the Barb continued its patrols, its legend grew. Japanese commanders, once dismissive, began to fear the unseen threat lurking beneath the waves. Convoys were rerouted, escorts multiplied, and yet the submarine continued to strike with devastating effect. Fluckey's leadership inspired not just efficiency, but innovation, encouraging his officers and crew to think creatively in high-pressure situations. The submarine became a laboratory of tactics, testing new approaches to engagement, evasion, and intelligence gathering. Each successful mission added to a growing body of knowledge that would influence submarine operations across the Pacific. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Barb's campaigns was its ability to adapt. The submarine faced myriad threats: depth charges, mines, patrol aircraft, and the relentless vigilance of destroyers. Yet its crew learned to read the ocean, anticipate enemy maneuvers, and strike where least expected. Fluckey's philosophy emphasized flexibility. No plan was so rigid that it could not be adjusted in response to real-time conditions. In the face of danger, the Barb's men remained calm, their nerves steel-like, executing complex operations with precision that often left the enemy bewildered. By the end of its first year in combat, the USS Barb had transformed from an underestimated vessel into a symbol of American ingenuity and audacity. Its success was measured not only in ships sunk or tonnage destroyed, but in the morale boost it provided to Allied forces and the psychological toll it inflicted on Japanese command. The submarine proved that courage, strategy, and teamwork could overcome superior numbers, that ordinary men, operating with discipline and innovation, could achieve extraordinary results. Barb's mission set new standards for submarine warfare. Each patrol combined conventional attacks with creative approaches, blending stealth, precision, and psychological impact. Its legacy was not merely in destruction, but in the demonstration of what a dedicated crew could accomplish when empowered by bold leadership and relentless training. The Yellow Sea and the waters of the Pacific became a stage where the Barb's crew enacted feats of strategy, courage, and ingenuity that would be studied and celebrated long after the war ended. As the submarine returned to port after each patrol, its crew carried the weight of experience and the knowledge of lives changed or lost. Their stories, though often untold, formed the foundation of modern submarine doctrine. The USS Barb demonstrated that innovation and audacity could rewrite the rules of warfare, that a single vessel, expertly commanded and courageously crewed, could leave a mark far greater than its size might suggest. In the annals of naval history, the Barb's patrols remain a testament to human skill, daring, and the relentless pursuit of excellence beneath the waves, a story of ordinary men achieving extraordinary feats under extraordinary circumstances. The USS Barb prepared for its next patrol, but this mission would be unlike any it had undertaken before. Captain Eugene Fluckey knew the stakes had risen. The Japanese had begun to anticipate American submarine tactics, reinforcing convoy routes, adding more destroyers, and deploying aerial reconnaissance. Yet, Fluckey's mind was already racing through contingencies, considering every angle, every weakness in the enemy's armor. The crew, trained to the edge of endurance and efficiency, awaited orders with quiet focus. In the submarine's steel confines, the air carried a tension that was almost tangible, each man aware that a single error could spell disaster. The journey began under cover of night. As the submarine slid silently through the Pacific, waves lapping against the hull, Fluckey reviewed intelligence reports detailing enemy shipping in the area. The Barb's sonar operator, eyes glued to the scopes, detected the faintest blips, shadows of enemy vessels patrolling the waters. Each contact was analyzed, measured, and weighed. Fluckey had developed a system of anticipation, predicting movements before they happened, positioning his submarine where it could strike with maximum effect and minimal exposure. His calculations were precise, honed by countless hours of training and the knowledge that delay or hesitation could mean the difference between life and death. The first contact of the patrol came at dawn, a convoy of Japanese supply ships escorted by destroyers.
Fluckey's crew, moving like clockwork, initiated the approach. Torpedo tubes were readied, firing sequences rehearsed. The Barb crept closer, using thermal layers in the water to mask its approach. Japanese lookouts, confident in their numerical superiority, were unaware of the predator moving silently beneath them. Fluckey's strategy relied not merely on firepower, but on timing and psychology. A single, well-placed strike could throw an entire convoy into chaos, and that chaos could be exploited to maximize damage. The first torpedo salvo struck with devastating effect. Explosions rocked the water, smoke and flames rising from the supply ships. The destroyers scrambled to respond, depth charges detonating with terrifying force. Yet the Barb, anticipating their maneuvers, slipped beneath the waves, evading detection by mere feet. The crew's nerves were tested to the limit as they executed evasive maneuvers, balancing precision and speed. Every creak of the hull, every ping of sonar was a reminder of the fragile margin between survival and annihilation. Following the attack, the Barb carried out a maneuver that would become legendary. Fluckey decided to surface under cover of darkness and approach the convoy again. Using the deck gun, the submarine engaged smaller vessels, sinking them with precision fire. The audacity of surfacing in enemy waters, exposed to potential detection, demonstrated Fluckey's willingness to take calculated risks. The psychological effect on Japanese commanders was profound. Reports from survivors described a vessel that seemed to appear and disappear at will, attacking with both torpedoes and artillery, leaving confusion and fear in its wake. The mission extended beyond ship-to-ship combat. Barb's crew carried out operations along the coastline, identifying enemy supply depots, fuel storage, and rail lines essential for Japanese troop movements. Under Fluckey's direction, small teams were deployed in rubber boats to sabotage these targets. Each landing was executed under the cover of darkness, with the men navigating treacherous terrain to plant explosives and return safely. The risks were extraordinary. Patrols could be intercepted, booby traps could be triggered, and the ocean offered no refuge if detection occurred. Yet the crew executed these missions with meticulous planning and nerve, leaving behind a trail of disruption that crippled enemy logistics. Throughout the patrol, the Barb relied on ingenuity as much as firepower. The submarine crew developed techniques for silent movement, reducing mechanical noise and minimizing detection. Fluckey emphasized adaptability. No plan was sacred if real-time conditions demanded change. Crews practiced emergency procedures for flooding, fires, and torpedo misfires, each drill instilling confidence and discipline. In the cramped, pressurized spaces, cooperation was absolute. Each man's role was critical, every decision potentially decisive. One of the most remarkable successes of this patrol involved a daring raid on a coastal shipping yard. The Barb surfaced at night, approaching the facility undetected. Using portable demolition charges, Fluckey's men destroyed key cranes, cargo warehouses, and fuel depots. The operation, executed with precision timing, crippled Japanese shipping capability in the region. The raid was a testament to the effectiveness of unconventional thinking and the willingness to push beyond the limits of traditional submarine operations. News of the destruction spread quickly, causing alarm in Japanese naval command and further solidifying Barb's reputation as an unpredictable and lethal threat. As the patrol continued, Barb's crew faced challenges that tested both endurance and morale. Typhoons swept across the Pacific, turning the ocean into a churning battlefield where survival depended as much on seamanship as combat skill. Mechanical failures forced the crew to improvise repairs in confined, dangerous conditions. Food and water supplies were rationed, each man aware of the fragile balance sustaining life below the waves. Yet even in adversity, the crew maintained focus and cohesion, their shared purpose driving them forward. By the end of the patrol, the USS Barb had sunk multiple enemy vessels, disrupted supply lines, and executed coastal raids that left the Japanese Navy bewildered and demoralized. Fluckey's leadership had inspired extraordinary performance from his crew, who had grown from capable sailors into a highly efficient, fearless unit operating at the cutting edge of submarine warfare. The patrol's success was measured not only in tonnage destroyed, but in the broader strategic impact, demonstrating that a single, well-commanded submarine could alter enemy operations across a wide area. The Barb returned to base, its hull battered but its crew unbroken, carrying the weight of achievements that would become legendary. Intelligence gathered during the patrol was analyzed, providing critical insights into Japanese shipping patterns and coastal defenses. Fluckey's daring and innovative tactics set a standard for submarine operations, influencing strategy and tactics across the Pacific. The patrol proved that with leadership, discipline, and audacity, a single vessel could change the course of battles and inspire a new level of confidence in American forces. This patrol was not the last of the USS Barb's extraordinary missions, but it established a pattern: audacious attacks, careful planning, precise execution, and relentless adaptability. Fluckey and his crew had shown that ordinary men, operating in extraordinary circumstances, could achieve results that seemed impossible to the enemy. Each patrol, each strike, each daring raid further cemented the Barb's legacy, ensuring that the submarine would be remembered as one of the most effective and legendary vessels in the Pacific theater, a symbol of American ingenuity, courage, and the relentless pursuit of victory in the face of overwhelming odds.
After returning to base, the USS Barb underwent essential maintenance. Yet the crew knew that downtime was temporary. Captain Eugene Fluckey gathered his men, reviewing intelligence reports, convoy movements, and updated patrol routes. The war in the Pacific had intensified. Japanese forces were reinforcing positions, adapting to submarine tactics, and increasing air reconnaissance. Every patrol carried greater risk, and Fluckey understood that success would require not only audacity, but a deeper understanding of the enemy's mindset. Each decision, each maneuver, had to be precise, yet flexible enough to respond to unpredictability. As the Barb departed for its next mission, the tension aboard was palpable. Every man was acutely aware that a single torpedo missed, or a single miscalculation, could mean the difference between victory and disaster. The crew relied on their training, their trust in one another, and the meticulous strategies developed under Fluckey's leadership. The submarine moved silently through the darkened waters, scanning for contacts, listening for sonar pings, interpreting the faintest disturbances. The ocean itself became both ally and adversary, concealing the Barb's movements while threatening exposure to enemy patrols, depth charges, and aerial reconnaissance. The first encounter of the patrol occurred near the coast of Honshu, where Japanese convoys had been transporting critical supplies for troop movements and fortifications. Fluckey anticipated their course and positioned the Barb for an intercept. The crew executed the approach with precision, torpedo tubes prepared, firing solutions calculated. Silence reigned as they closed the distance. The first torpedo salvo struck with devastating effect, detonating against a freighter and sending flames and debris into the night sky. Destroyers scrambled in response, dropping depth charges in a desperate attempt to neutralize the submarine. Each explosion shook the hull, testing the crew's nerves and skill as they executed evasive maneuvers with calculated timing. In the aftermath, Fluckey made a bold decision that would define this patrol. He planned a surface assault against smaller vessels, using the deck gun to engage targets with precision. Surfacing in enemy territory carried extraordinary risk, but Fluckey's strategy relied on unpredictability and speed. The crew moved with disciplined efficiency, firing and reloading in coordinated sequences. The psychological impact on the Japanese sailors was profound. Witnesses later described a submarine that appeared from nowhere, attacking with coordinated fury, disappearing before effective countermeasures could be taken. The Barb had become a ghostly predator in the Pacific, blending fear with reality. Beyond direct combat, Fluckey exploited unconventional tactics to maximize impact. Intelligence identified critical coastal supply depots, fuel storage, and railway lines essential to Japanese logistics. Under Fluckey's guidance, small teams launched nighttime raids, planting explosives and sabotaging infrastructure. Each mission required meticulous planning, stealth, and nerve. Navigating treacherous terrain in darkness, the teams faced booby traps, enemy patrols, and the relentless threat of capture or death. The raids were executed flawlessly, leaving a trail of disruption that hampered enemy operations and highlighted the Barb's unique versatility as both a weapon and a strategic tool. One of the most audacious operations of this patrol involved a daring assault against a heavily guarded coastal convoy. The Barb, using advanced tactics, infiltrated the formation undetected. Torpedoes were launched in carefully timed sequences, each one chosen for maximum effect. Explosions illuminated the night, signaling destruction and confusion. Destroyers attempted to counterattack, but Fluckey anticipated their maneuvers, diving deep and using thermal layers to mask the submarine's position. The crew's precision and courage under pressure were unmatched, reinforcing the Barb's reputation as an unpredictable and highly effective force in the Pacific. Amidst the constant danger, the crew demonstrated extraordinary resilience and ingenuity. Mechanical failures were repaired under extreme conditions, sometimes in confined spaces with limited tools. Water and food rations were carefully managed, ensuring that men remained operational despite the prolonged patrol. Each drill, each emergency procedure, became a testament to the crew's discipline and training. They knew that success depended on the seamless integration of every member's actions, every maneuver, and every decision made in the heat of combat. The Barb's patrol extended over several weeks, during which the submarine continued to sink enemy vessels, disrupt supply lines, and conduct reconnaissance along the coast. Fluckey's strategies emphasized both destruction and intelligence gathering, understanding that each encounter offered lessons for future operations. The patrol's cumulative effect was significant, creating logistical chaos for Japanese forces, reducing troop mobility, and weakening supply chains critical for defensive operations. Perhaps the most daring episode of this patrol involved a close-in engagement with enemy destroyers. The Barb maneuvered between the escorts, using a combination of stealth and aggressive tactics to strike targets from unexpected angles. Torpedoes found their marks with precision, explosions rocking the water as Japanese crews struggled to respond. The psychological impact was immediate. Reports from survivors described a vessel that seemed untouchable, appearing and disappearing at will, striking with lethal accuracy. This ability to operate inside enemy formations, exploiting both skill and audacity, became a hallmark of Fluckey's command. As the patrol drew to a close, the USS Barb had inflicted substantial damage on enemy shipping, disrupted strategic operations, and demonstrated the unparalleled effectiveness of American submarine tactics. Fluckey's leadership inspired extraordinary performance from his crew, transforming ordinary sailors into a cohesive, highly efficient, and fearless unit. The patrol's success was measured not only in tonnage destroyed, but in strategic impact, showing that a single, well-commanded submarine could alter the course of operations across the Pacific. Returning to base, the Barb carried with it not just evidence of destruction, but the knowledge that audacity, discipline, and innovation could overcome even the most formidable adversary. Intelligence from the patrol provided critical insights into Japanese convoy patterns and coastal defenses, informing future missions and broader strategic planning. Fluckey's daring and unconventional tactics became a model for submarine operations, illustrating that victory often depended as much on psychological warfare, unpredictability, and calculated risk as on raw power. This mission, like those before and after, exemplified the unique combination of planning, audacity, and human endurance that defined the USS Barb's wartime service. Fluckey's vision, discipline, and willingness to take calculated risks elevated both his crew and their vessel to legendary status. Each encounter reinforced the principle that in warfare, innovation, precision, and morale could overcome seemingly insurmountable odds, leaving a lasting impression on both friend and foe alike. As the USS Barb prepared for its final patrol, the crew knew that each mission now carried not only the weight of combat, but the weight of legend. Their previous successes had spread through naval intelligence channels, earning both admiration and fear. The Japanese Navy, aware of the Barb's reputation, altered convoy routes, increased escort numbers, and intensified aerial reconnaissance. Yet Captain Eugene Fluckey saw this not as a limitation, but as an opportunity. The enemy's caution created patterns, predictable habits, and vulnerabilities that could be exploited with precision and daring. Departing the base, the Barb slipped beneath the ocean's surface, moving silently through the Pacific waters. The crew, hardened by months of perilous operations, executed drills with exacting discipline. Every sonar reading, every faint echo, every subtle change in the ocean currents was analyzed for its tactical significance. Fluckey, a master of both strategy and intuition, orchestrated movements that turned the submarine into a ghostly predator, capable of vanishing when cornered, striking when least expected, and transforming intelligence into action with unmatched speed. Early in the patrol, the Barb encountered a heavily escorted convoy transporting vital supplies from the Japanese mainland to forward positions. The enemy formation was larger and more vigilant than any previously encountered. Fluckey's plan required patience, observation, and impeccable timing. He positioned the Barb to intercept at the optimal angle, ensuring that torpedo solutions could be executed with maximum effectiveness. The crew held their breath as the first torpedoes were launched. Explosions shattered the night, engulfing freighters in flames, while escort vessels scrambled in panic. The Barb disappeared beneath the waves, avoiding a barrage of depth charges that shook the hull and tested the crew's nerves to the limit. After this initial strike, Fluckey made a decision that would be remembered in naval history. He planned a bold surface attack on an anchored supply depot along the coastline. The operation required the submarine to approach undetected under cover of darkness, navigate minefields, and deliver a swift, precise strike against shore installations. The deck crew, trained for this exact scenario, prepared explosives and machinery with flawless coordination. As the Barb surfaced under the cover of night, searchlights briefly illuminated the scene, revealing the destruction wrought in minutes. Explosions tore through warehouses and fuel storage, sending fires and smoke into the night sky, signaling both material loss and psychological impact to enemy forces. The psychological dimension of Fluckey's strategy was as critical as the physical destruction. Japanese sailors, aware of the Barb's reputation, spoke in hushed tones of the submarine that could strike anywhere, anytime, and vanish without warning. Reports captured in intercepted communications described the crew as relentless and unpredictable, a phantom that could undermine morale and force the enemy into defensive postures. The Barb's audacity reshaped not just tactical operations, but the broader strategic environment in the Pacific, compelling Japanese commanders to divert resources, reinforce convoys, and reconsider previously secure shipping lanes. During the patrol, the Barb also engaged in intelligence-gathering operations that would prove invaluable. Reconnaissance along coastal routes, observation of convoy schedules, and subtle monitoring of enemy responses provided a wealth of data. Fluckey combined this intelligence with operational experience, adjusting tactics dynamically, exploiting weaknesses, and refining future patrol strategies.
Each encounter, whether direct or observational, contributed to a growing repository of knowledge that enhanced not only the Barb's effectiveness, but the broader U.S. submarine campaign in the Pacific. One of the most remarkable episodes of this patrol involved the capture and sabotage of a critical railway line supporting Japanese troop movements. Fluckey deployed a specialized demolition team that navigated treacherous terrain under the cover of darkness. The team planted explosives along key tracks, timed to detonate when enemy trains passed. The operation succeeded flawlessly, halting troop and supply movements, delaying reinforcements, and creating confusion among Japanese commanders. This unconventional use of a submarine as a platform for combined operations underscored Fluckey's innovative approach to warfare, blending intelligence, surprise, and precision strikes in ways that confounded the enemy. During the patrol, the crew's resilience was tested to the limit. Long hours under constant threat, limited provisions, and the ever-present danger of depth charges or aerial attacks demanded both physical and mental endurance. Mechanical issues were resolved with ingenuity, resourcefulness, and teamwork. Every system, from torpedo tubes to propulsion, required constant attention. Each sailor, from the youngest enlisted man to the most experienced officer, played a critical role in sustaining operations. Fluckey's leadership fostered a culture of trust, accountability, and courage, transforming ordinary men into a cohesive force capable of extraordinary achievements under extreme conditions. As the patrol progressed, the Barb executed a series of precision strikes against multiple convoys, disrupting supply lines and inflicting substantial material losses. Torpedoes struck with calculated accuracy, fires consumed cargo, and explosions rocked escort vessels. Japanese attempts at retaliation were met with deft evasive maneuvers, exploiting thermal layers, ocean currents, and the submarine's stealth capabilities. Each success reinforced the crew's confidence, demonstrating the power of audacity combined with meticulous planning and flawless execution. By the end of the patrol, the USS Barb had achieved a remarkable record: multiple ships destroyed, supply lines disrupted, and critical intelligence gathered, all while maintaining the safety and operational readiness of the crew. Fluckey's strategies had not only inflicted material damage, but had reshaped the enemy's perception of risk, demonstrating that American submarines could operate with unprecedented effectiveness even against well-defended targets. The patrol's outcomes underscored the principle that in warfare, innovation, courage, and disciplined execution could overcome numerical and technological challenges. Upon returning to base, the Barb received recognition for its extraordinary achievements. Reports highlighted the submarine's impact on Japanese logistics, the audacity of its operations, and the exemplary performance of its crew. Fluckey's leadership became a model for future submarine commanders, illustrating the value of intelligence-driven operations, psychological warfare, and daring tactics. The patrol exemplified the intersection of human ingenuity, technological capability, and operational excellence, leaving a legacy that would influence U.S. submarine strategy for the remainder of the war and beyond. The final missions of the Barb demonstrated that success in the Pacific did not rely solely on firepower or numerical advantage. Instead, it depended on creativity, adaptability, and the willingness to challenge conventional expectations. Fluckey's approach combined rigorous analysis, bold action, and a deep understanding of both his crew's capabilities and the enemy's vulnerabilities. Each engagement reinforced the broader principle that strategic impact often arises from precision, innovation, and the effective integration of human skill with technological tools. As the USS Barb's wartime service concluded, its legacy extended far beyond the tonnage of ships destroyed or the number of raids conducted. The vessel became a symbol of American ingenuity, courage, and determination. Fluckey and his crew demonstrated that ordinary individuals, operating under extraordinary circumstances, could achieve results that reshaped the course of conflict. The Barb's operations served as enduring examples of how audacity, discipline, and careful planning could transform a single submarine into a decisive instrument of war, capable of influencing outcomes far beyond its size or immediate firepower. The story of the USS Barb stands as a testament to the power of leadership, strategy, and human resilience. Fluckey's daring operations, meticulous planning, and innovative tactics exemplified the principles of American naval warfare in the Pacific: adaptability, precision, and relentless pursuit of objectives. The crew's courage and professionalism turned challenges into opportunities, demonstrating that effective operations relied not only on technology, but on the skill, creativity, and commitment of the people who wielded it. In the end, the USS Barb's legacy was measured not merely by its sinkings or its audacious raids, but by the transformative impact it had on both the enemy and American submarine operations. The combination of intelligence, audacity, precision, and human determination created a model for modern submarine warfare. Each patrol, each strike, and each calculated risk contributed to a broader understanding of what could be accomplished when ordinary men were given the opportunity, training, and leadership necessary to perform extraordinary feats under the most challenging conditions. Fluckey and the Barb proved that in the vast and unforgiving Pacific, victory favored not only the strongest, but the cleverest, the boldest, and the most determined. The submarine's final patrol cemented its reputation as one of the most formidable and innovative vessels in the U.S. Navy, and its story continues to inspire, reminding us that courage, ingenuity, and teamwork can turn the tide of conflict even against the most formidable adversaries.